Good afternoon, Franklin Township. This is PJ Parker from the Franklin Reporter and Advocate. It has been debated as to whether or not we're live right at the moment, but we are at the Franklin Township Youth Center at 428 Lewis Street, where there's been a really wonderful event about pet care here today, sponsored by the Franklin Township Animal Shelter, Second Chance for Animals. And here to tell us a little bit more, now the kids have already gone, but they were treated to animals, the likes of which they probably never have seen, much less were able to touch and to see close up. And here to tell us a lot of the rest of the story is our program coordinator, Mr. Joel Painson, and tell us about this event.
Yeah, sure thing. How you guys doing? I'm Joel Painson from the Franklin Youth Center. I'm one of the program coordinators here, and today we had our Pet Care Day, where not only were the kids able to meet animals, some traditional cats and dogs, but some non-traditional animals as well, where they met a rat, Mr. Ratatouille, right in the back, as well as a boa constrictor named Carl. So the kids were able to actually learn about proper care, what it would take to actually be able to get an animal themselves and what goes into it. Brian put it very nicely that they can get away with mom and dad taking care of the animals for the time being, but it is pretty intuitive for them to want to think about how much time they can invest into actually giving those pets care. Because unfortunately what happens is we have a lot of people who want animals, and then when they don't want them anymore, they end up in our animal shelters, which they get great care, but it becomes a little overcrowded. So we wanted them to get a little bit of a better understanding of what goes into taking care of an animal and knowing that it is a lifelong commitment rather than just say, I don't want you anymore, and then they don't end up with a happy home anymore. So I'll pass it over so you guys can give a little bit more info.
Yes, and with us we have the heart and soul of the Franklin Township Animal Shelter, Ms. Katie Nordhaus, who is just, she knows I'm her number one fan. She's an extraordinary animal care person, just an extraordinary human. And we're going to tell the story about not only this little pussycat here and this little sweet Ratatouille who's, oh, look at this little face. I know, it's a rat. It's a rat. It's a squirrel with a very long tail. Sweet, furry, hungry, just sweet as can be. We're probably not going to show you Carl because Carl had a rough afternoon. But Carl was a very big boa constrictor, and he enchanted every one of the kids who was in here. And our most exciting and loving story is about Elizabeth. So we're going to let Katie Nordhaus tell you about this beautiful little pit bull and why she's in this contraption and what pet care is all about. And again, to echo what Joel had to say, pet is probably a misnomer. You are adopting another child. When you take an animal into your home, you're adopting a child who does not have the same communication skills, who has most of the time 4 legs and the ability to love endlessly and totally with all its heart and soul. They're not a piece of furniture. They are not expendable. They become your family, and that is the intent and the heart of you deciding to adopt an animal into your home. It's a lifelong commitment, the life of the animal. And when you have a special needs animal such as Elizabeth, which I'm going to turn over to Katie now, it becomes even more of a journey of your own heart. So Katie, I've already fallen in love with this sweet little girl. So tell us why she's in this and what is this? And what was the circumstance that brought her?
So Elizabeth came to the animal shelter because she got hit by a car one night. Somebody called the police called us. I responded, we picked her up, and we brought her right to the hospital. So when she was hit, she had road rash all over. Nothing was broken, but she had nerve damage done to her lower back. So nerve damage can be really hard to deal with, whether she'll be able to walk again. Of course, I always have faith. And Elizabeth has shown great progress. She actually has 2 chiropractors that do free service for her twice a month. And she's progressing. She actually stood up on her own today for at least a minute. So I believe she'll be out of this cart. So the cart was actually purchased by our volunteer group, Angel Tales. which is the one that I started.
yours, right.
Yeah. So we purchased a cart for her to help her get around because she needs to stand up more, and get those legs stronger again. She's actually falling asleep now because we've been in here a while. Yeah, she's got Elizabeth. Can you wake up, honey? She's a little tired because it's been a long afternoon for her. But we have volunteers that come and help and take her out several times during the week and get her rolling around. So you'll see her around the municipal complex. So it's just a matter of time right now where she'll be up and on her own, and she'll be running on her own without this cart.
This cart was such a generous, ingenious, loving thing to do for her. It was just extraordinary. I remember when Katie first told me that this was happening, that this is the first time I've actually been able to see the little puppy and see how sweet and friendly and trusting she really is. She's beautiful. We can see that she's mostly pit bull, but she's got some, I would guess, some golden in her, but so sweet. I sat down with her for the first time and I was covered with kisses, and she's such a sweet, sweet animal. And that's
She's actually very good with all the kids. That's what I said. She loves the attention. So.
I wish we could show you Carl, but that I think Carl was really a phenomenon today. A very long boa constrictor, black and white, very beautiful, but an unusual type of pet. A certain amount of training would go into adopting an animal such as Carl. But our more traditional, more domestic animals, of which this shelter has so many who need loving, warm, forever homes, are the puppies and the kitties, and even this little creature here. And this is Brian. Brian, what's your last name? Hartman. Yep. Right. We know all these wonderful people who take the time out of their hearts to take care of these animals who have no place else to go until you, Franklin Township, open your heart and investigate what it would take to adopt one of them. So again, I'm going to mention this back to Katie. There are wish lists, there are procedures. Somebody wants to adopt an animal, what do? They
come down to the shelter. During our hours that we're open, they can come through and take a look if they're interested in someone. They fill out a pre-adoption form. Once that's all approved, they visit with the animal just to make sure that it's the right animal for them and their family. And then that's it. It's a $60 adoption fee. Every animal that leaves here is spayed or neutered. They're vaccinated, up to date. They're tested for leukemia and AIDS. The dogs are tested for heartworm, and they're microchipped before they leave. And obviously, anybody who's been injured will have more medical care taken, during that time.
Of course, and that's one of the things that sets this shelter apart. That I shouldn't say that. Every shelter who I've been privileged to know the personnel in are operated by people who just love animals, and that's why they're doing it. It's frequently at their own time, at their own expense, to just go in and make sure that life is good for these little animals who don't have someplace else at the moment. So this little girl, will she be ready for adoption anytime soon?
It's hard to say, because I don't know how long the progress is going to take. So she's been with us for almost a year now. So my gut instinct is telling me hopefully by the end of this year, she'll be up and on her own.
Well, she's standing. You can't really see it. She's favoring that little leg that was hurt. You could see that. She does have some nerve damage. But the minute I sat down, I was covered with her sweet kisses. And it was just so precious. They're so trusting. And this little kitty. And tell us your name, honey.
Yassine.
Yassine. And are you going to take this kitty, do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think about being with all these animals today?
I love them.
Yeah. Do you have puppies and kitties at home?
I used to. I have a cat.
You have a cat now?
Used to.
This kitty looks like she's attached to you at the moment. They're all sweet. They're all sweet. They just want to be loved. So tell us again, Joelle. I'm bouncing all over the place, which is typically what I do. Come over here. You're out of camera. Tell us what inspired you to have this program in the first place, and what do you think your kids got out of it?
So one of the main reasons we want to have this program itself is, one, to raise the awareness of animals with the kids. We've seen in the past that where we've had a dog loose in the area, and rather than the kids being scared, knowing how to, one, identify where the owner is, how to remain calm and sort of keep the dog from harm's way, and then be able to get them back to their owners. And they have pets of their own, or may want to own pets, and they have to have the realistic conversation with what it's going to take to be able to own a pet. Myself being a pet owner, I have a dog that has been with me for 9 years now. It is a reality check, and I'm much older than them, and having, the knowledge that they're getting now is going to sort of be a precursor to them understanding what goes into the care of the dog. It's not just a walk and a feed. There's love, there's care, there's time that has to be put into making sure that these animals stay happy and healthy. So we wanted them to see what options they have besides just your traditional, cats and dogs, with seeing what other animals come from the shelter and what it would take to be able to care for them as well if they chose to go a non-traditional route.
Well, again, it is about the caring. This is not just entertainment. And we see so many examples during peak holiday seasons, especially Easter, especially Christmas, where, this would be fun to bring a pussycat home, or a dog, or a bunny, and then when the holiday and the excitement is over, then the importance and the significance of that animal adoption sometimes falls to the wayside. And again, Franklin, we can't emphasize more that these are living creatures. They are a lifetime of commitment. So please, when you do visit Katie and Brian at the shelter and you are interested in an adoption, make sure that you're adopting with your heart, with your mind, and with your soul, because they are going to depend on you. And with somebody like Joelle at the helm here at the youth center, educating young people as to how to do that properly, the nuances of care, the nuances of the feeding, of the veterinary situation, that this is another little creature who is about to join your family. So we just thank you so much for everything you're doing to try to enlighten these kids at the youth center on Lewis Street, where this has become a major, major hub for kids. Tell us about what age group and what goes on here at the youth center.
So our age group is from ages 12 to 18, or grades 6 through 12. And we're seeing a high number of our middle schoolers that are becoming a little bit more independent. So as they gain that independence, we want to sort of arm them with the knowledge of what it takes to be responsible young adults. So this is one of the things of them wanting a little bit more responsibility. So we're showing them how to do it and do it in the right way.
Wow. It's extraordinary. We're so proud of this center, and certainly of you, Joel. And certainly, again, we thank Brian Hartman for all of his work that he does, again, as a volunteer at the Franklin Township Animal Shelter, Second Chance for Animals, and of course, the heart and soul of that Franklin Township Animal Shelter is Katie Nordhaus. Last words?
Thank you. Come and adopt.
And then there's Miss Elizabeth. You have anything to say, sweetheart? Huh? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Franklin. PJ Parker, Franklin reporter and advocate, really wanting to take Elizabeth home. But anybody who knows me knows about Cody, so we would have to think long and hard about that. It's a pleasure, Franklin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back.